Hi guys, good morning and welcome to Power Breakfast. I'm Pavitra Parekh. Those are all of the top headlines that we're looking at this morning. So clearly, once again, we're getting quite a weak handover from Wall Street. And on the back of that, you have all of the Asian markets which have opened with cuts. So Hang Seng is actually seeing the worst cut right now. It's up on your screen, 220 points gone on the Hang Seng market, so over 1% lower there. Taiwan is seeing a cut of around 0.7% as well. And some of the other Asian markets, so whether it's a Kospi, whether it's a Straits, all of those down between 0.4 to 0.6%. That is the kind of cuts that you're seeing coming across Asia. So Hang Seng is clearly the worst, but the rest of the Asian markets also seeing some cuts. The SGX Nifty will come up for you, and that is looking a lot better. So that is still indicating a positive start. Around 30 points higher is what we have on the SGX Nifty. That's what's happening in Asia, but let's also talk about the US now. Wall Street saw a volatile trading session, so the Dow Jones closed largely flat, S&P 500 slipped over 0.5%, and the Nasdaq fell over 1% at the close. CNBC Seema Modi is here to bring us a wrap of all of that action from Wall Street.
Wall Street choppy session for the day as stocks midday were erased by the time of the final bell. The afternoon downturn was triggered by a warning from the Bank of England that the country's pension funds needed to rebalance by Friday when the central bank's emergency bond buying program will end. The Dow finishing narrowly up, the S&P 500 dropping more than 0.5%, and the Nasdaq falling over 1%. Meta was a big drag on the markets today as the stock fell around 4%. The tech company announcing its next mixed reality headset today in the gaming and practical applications. The new Meta Quest Pro will cost $1,500 and will begin shipping later this month. Meta has struggled recently with revenue growth, and the stock sits near its one-year low. That's the action from the U.S. Back over to you in Mumbai.
All right, Seema, thanks a lot for getting us all of that action from the U.S. markets. In fact, let's also bring you some opinion. U.S. economy is doing well amid global economic uncertainty, says Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. She also acknowledged that inflation is much too high and lowering it remains a priority. So listen into that.
From the perspective of the United States, I think the United States is doing very well. And we had an employment report just last Friday that shows we continue to have a very resilient economy, an economy, of course, that's slowing. We would expect slower growth, but, you know, we still had over 260,000 jobs last month and have a very strong job market, although we're beginning to see some signs that pressures in the labor market are easing. So I remain encouraged. The U.S. economy is strong. Different countries face different stresses, but the IMF has downgraded their outlook for growth in many parts of the world. I think much of the strain we're seeing reflects the impact of Russia's brutal war against Ukraine, which has raised energy prices. Of course, he's weaponized natural gas, which is causing huge price spikes and energy strains in Europe. We still see the impact of COVID in China and the slowdown in Chinese growth. And with high inflation and tightening monetary policy in many advanced countries.
All right, that is U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen talking about how U.S. is faring amid this global setup. But a key talking point as far as the global markets go has also been the strength that we've seen in the dollar. So the dollar index is currently at around 103. We spoke to Ruchir Sharma on the strength that we're seeing in the U.S. dollar. Listen in to what he had to say.
I do feel that the dollar is close to a natural peak anyway, because it's so grotesquely overvalued, right, that it's close to a natural peak. But the problem is that every day that this goes on, you're adding to the financial stress in the global economy unnecessarily, because the tightening is going on. That's an inflation objective. And yet by not increasing, by not intervening and letting the dollar surge continue in this way, you're just adding to the stress of the global economy. You've got countries around the world which are reeling from this stress. So this is a great time for the US to show leadership and engage here in a coordinated central bank intervention move. And the Treasury has to lead it, because I think a very important point here is that the currency policy is led by the US Treasury, and the Fed acts on that.
All right, that is the word coming in from Ruchir.